Chunky Fresh, starting off with being denied Maokai, Dignitas' first ban.
Pretty generic ban there, right off the bat, trying to stop the team from having the initiation advantage. That's one thing Maokai often offers you in these games. Annie, unfortunately, banned away from Kiwi Kid. 4 of Dignitas' 6 wins during the regular season were Kiwi Kid on Annie.
Wow.
So they got to do something they only did twice during the regular season,
That's
win
true.
without Annie.
That's a fair point. It's going to be an interesting matchup for Dignitas, absolutely. Of course, we know that they have been pretty consistent against teams lower than them. They were 2-0 on Coast, which is at least something. So you figure Dignitas still has the ability to perform fairly consistently as a team. Rumble away from Gamsu, LeBlanc away from Huhi. I want to see how many assassins they actually remove from Huhi. We've seen him play Diana, we've seen him play Zed, seen him play Ari. So I want to know what else seems to be contested in this matchup, but right now Dignitas not willing to play against LeBlanc.
Yeah, one thing that we noticed about the game here, by the way, promotion tournament is being played on the 5.6 patch, so not the current live patch. There are the higher percentage bans like Hecarim that you rarely see go through, but you can see 6 different bans depending on which 2 teams are playing.
Yeah.
There's not necessarily a de facto first pick in the entire game, but in a specific series, there may be a de facto first pick as the series progresses. I feel like Kalista was actually a permaban in the Chinese finals last night, every single game, because Imp was so prolific with this champion. I wonder if this is going to be a team fight focused game, and if Sivir sees high AD carry priority. I'm not entirely sure whether we're going to see something like that. Looks like Azing is playing Gragas, though.
Wow, interesting. So the Sejuani ban comes through all the same, and Team Fusion happy to give away Gragas and then kind of lose out on some of these sort of high-priority tank junglers, unless Nintendo wants to play Nunu, something he has not done in a while.
Yeah, we've seen Nunu and Rek'Sai as the kind of fallbacks to those tank junglers. Rek'Sai obviously building Cinderhulk, but since the Gragas' first pick, they're going World of Tanks so far, Sion Urgot.
Wow, Huhi had an absolutely amazing Urgot game back in the semi-final match, so like to get that back for himself. And Chunky Fresh is back on his nice, happy Sion here in the top lane. Could free up Nintendo to play either a squishy backliner like Nidalee, or we can see a comp I've been seeing much more recently, which is a 4 Bruisers plus Sivir type team, which is really hard to deal with in Fusion. We'll see which way they take this comp.
Yeah, they have the flexibility now because they've controlled Urgot. And they sacrifice the Gragas pick. Honestly, even though Gragas has been very effective in games, I'm not entirely sold on it as a first pick. Right? He has significant late game fall off. He's one of those guys who can impact the game hugely in the early and mid game.
Yeah.
But especially since Azingi isn't a really well-known Gragas player, and typically he's stuck to the champions that he's stuck to.
Right.
He has success in solo queue on a very small subset of champions, which is maybe one of the reasons we haven't seen him in pro play that much. Yeah. So in order to stay in pro play, he needs to adapt to this Gragas now and prove that it's worthy of a first pick.
Well, here's your chance to prove that you're worth your salt here, Zingy. Gragas, of course, still locked in for him. Kennen and Ziggs come through, so a couple of Yordles for Dignitas Shifter. Actually on what I feel is one of his better champions. Ziggs has the ability to play safe and play back, but also some really good roam plays and really good carry potential as well as a high damage mid laner.
I really love picking an early Ziggs against a team that is threatening to go ball of tanks. Yeah. Because the AoE is actually substantial against a team that is that grouped up all the time.
And here we go, Morgana once again for Transcend. It is going to be Nidalee for Nintendo here in the jungle, so a bit more of a falling back pokey type team, and it's good adaptation to see them not play for the death ball against a very AoE focused mage team.
Yeah, I mean, whether or not this is a plan that they had from the beginning or whether it's an adaptation, it looks like it's a bit of a pivot, mainly, because having these picks actually is now a team that doesn't have the most amazing overall synergy because of the mid pick by Ziggs.
Yeah, Sion ults in for, you know, no follow-up.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder how they're going to end up rounding that out with the final counter pick.
Well, speaking of rounding things out with the final pick, though, Sivir does come through to knock the team forward, but a Jarvan grabbed here. So is that top Jarvan or jungle Jarvan, and vice versa for Gragas here? Dignitas showing an interesting lineup. Corki does come through for Nien, though, so looks like a lot of poke power for Fusion with a Sion to round it out.
Poke power and Fusion also kind of all in on the mid game here, from the looks of it. They also have to compete with the mid game power spikes that Team Dignitas is going to be throwing out. If they do Jarvan top lane, Gragas jungle, that is a lot of mid-game power that Fusion needs to be able to go toe-to-toe with. really interesting final picks there. I feel like Fusion kept their mid lane AD carries a flexible option. I think Yen very well could have done Urgot AD carry if they wanted to.
They can still swap now. I mean, Corki mid's not, you know, too surprising either.
They could.
But yeah, I think this is the lineup we expect to see here out of Fusion. Interesting comp, a lot of poke over here. Team Dignitas, they are going to be top lane Jarvan. So that was the champion that Gamsu wanted to fight Chunky Fresh with. Gamsu is a player I think we've seen do very well overall in the North American LCS. Definitely a strong top laner. Chunky Fresh has been having sort of, you know, middling success. So, you know, Jarvan picking him up to try to beat up this Sion could very well work.
Yeah, it's a very risky pick there by Rico and Team Dignitas to have the Jarvan that early because, yes, Jarvan can crush the lane, but if he falls behind Sion in the slightest, he is not going to be able to touch Sion whatsoever. Sion rushes Frozen Heart in the matchup, right? And, all right.
Stops dying.
Stops dying to Jarvan. Maybe we'll see lane swaps. Maybe we'll see him try and get some early roams off in mid lane. The Jarvan has to impact the game early on.
We'll see what impact Gamsu can have in this game. All throughout the series, we'll be keeping tabs on who you think is going to earn a spot in the North American LCS. Share your predictions with us on Twitter by sending hashtag DIGWin or hashtag FSNWin to @LOLesports. We'll check out on how you guys are voting in just a few minutes into the game. But the best of 5 to determine one of the 2 new spots in the North American LCS for 2015 is almost upon us here. Dig on blue, Fusion on red. We have a game pause to start, so we're not going to get ourselves into that match just yet. Instead, it'll be our faces, but that's okay.
Yeah. We'll find out what the pause is for. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. Obviously, there were some account issues earlier on in the day, so it could be lingering from that, which, you know, who knows if we'll see a remake. Most likely, since there's no game of record, if there is a remake, it'll be the exact same picks and bans, which we can continue to talk about, I suppose.
Yeah, so I know I talked a lot about Fusion's lineup because they're sort of one of the newer teams. I know them pretty well from casting Challenger. But so Dignitas overall as a core group of champions. We talked about the team overall. So let's talk about their champion select. They actually really like their AoE team fight. So we've seen compositions like Jarvan Rumble, right? Lock him in a ring, put fire on top of him. Jarvan Ken and Jarvan Ziggs has a very similar set of exciting points. Even with Sivir, where Ricochet can hit the entire team when they're stuck in this ring. You've got a really scary AoE type team, and it's not a move of Fiddlesticks, it's not Curse the Sad Bullet time, but it's the champions that we're seeing played now with the Jarvan, the Ziggs, the Kennen, the Sivir, and these guys are putting together a big area of effect team.
They really are. Kennen is not to be underestimated. A bit of an odd pause that we had there. Chunky Fresh said he couldn't move his champion, but we are back into the game now.
And he's moving.
And he's moving. So I wonder if that's one of those nerve things or not. We'll have to see. Maybe he had to unplug and replug his mouse, so it was actually accepting commands. Nothing to see here, folks. I think we're into game 1.
He hadn't played in 2015 yet, where there's the base gate, and he's like, why am I not leaving the fountain, guys? He actually had items as well, so like he's able to click. I'm just unsure what actually happened. Either way, we're on to the game, so who cares? We're good.
I'm going to go ahead
and say nerves.
Make a bold call here. I could very well be wrong, but I'm going to say Chunky Fresh imagined a bug right there.
Here we go. Either way, 52 seconds into this one, and Chunky Fresh and Gamsu heading to their normal lanes. Flask start for the Jarvan. I do think that's smart. Extra mana regen actually kind of needed on that champion. He has one of the lower mana pools, and you need to use spells as him to do good things in the laning phase. So, Flask, Jarvan, good start for him. We're seeing wards mirror each other all across the map. An early recall from Fusion is going to send Morgana and Corki towards the top lane. So Fusion, from their battle lines, we'll see that no one saw, there's no deep wards, and they will opt to 2v2 the top lane, sniffed out by Dignitas.
Yeah, we'll end up seeing if this is to the benefit or to the detriment of Fusion, because they, even in games during Challenger where they would end up laning, they would shove the wave shop and then go swap again. They really didn't want a 2v2 lane. Sivir can also spell shield Corki's Phosphorus Bomb, and lane, if we get that matchup, it may actually be fairly favorable for Fusion to not 2v2 this one, but they're lined up to do so. Just trying to scout each other out real hard here.
And a ping from Dignitas says, hey, their dual lane's right here. Morgana could, of course, start Puddle, and they could shove the wave really hard, so we'll see what happens. Early jungle starts, Chunky Fresh and Nintendude on different sides of the jungle. Lily's going to be fine. Gamsu gets to lane early and says, all right, I'm just going to get some farm. No one's contesting me at all. So jungle start versus a wave start, and I want to see how this push actually happens.
Oh, no, an execute. Chunky Fresh just doing his early level 2. I feel like he'll get to lane around the same time Gamsu is hitting level 2. In fact, there may
It's almost always
be,
faster for Sion if he
yeah,
teleports.
there's going to be a lane experience advantage for Chunky Fresh here. The only times I've seen it not be a big advantage is if it's a Riven or something who can shove the wave super easily with 3 Qs and get it to the turret right away. But Gamsu was not playing that style, therefore Chunky Fresh already with a bit of a lead in bottom lane.
The best one I've seen, I think it was Impact, who actually proxied the first wave, made his own wave crash into the turret, and then farmed the double wave and kind of caught up in XP that way. It was a really clever play. I haven't seen it since then. Nintendo clears his side of the jungle, takes the bottom Scuttle Crab, so a bit of vision control might help his top laner, air quotes, survive Izingi. Izingi went to go look at the Raptor camp, saw it was gone. Gonna go back and grab his own blue.
Well, he also stole the enemy red.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, leaving up one small camp to make sure the wave was there. Somewhat clever in that case, but Nintendo is just going to do the same. And the question will then be who counter jungles whom harder, and it looks like Nintendo will because he's been able to leave a small Raptor, especially if he can continually take this. Leaving a small minion from a buff camp, like blue or red buff, isn't that great because at least half of the experience of that camp is in the small guys. So he's leaving a substantial amount of experience by counter-jungling Nintendo's red instead of just taking the whole thing. Yeah,
and like an early red buff, or like your second red buff, is not that important of a buff to grab in the first place. Blues kind of matter, right? Getting that under your mid laner at like 8 minutes on is pretty nice, but ooh, Nintendo's spotted by a ward shifter. Gonna play safe. Very good trinket ward to put down, spying which way Nidalee would come from. Really intelligent stuff so far by Shifter. The mid lane is pretty much equal. Among the top laners, Chunky Fresh has a small lead for himself down in that, bot lane 1v1, whatever the two offside solos. Fusion, meanwhile, actually pushed up under their turret nearly and getting denied a little bit of experience in gold here. Dignitas 2v2, just as we had thought, is going quite well for them.
Yeah, really early on. Just pushing up, playing aggressively. They have a potential shove advantage, Ricochet with Sivir. Very easy. They also knew they had the safety of side choice for jungler, Izingi counter-jungling the red, making sure his Nintendo isn't down there. Additionally, they spotted Nintendo on the map while he was trying to gank mid lane. So it's as planned for a more aggressive lane. Dignitas' duo playing this one properly. Nothing incredible yet, though.
Nothing incredible just yet, but Izingi wants the mid lane, who he does have flash. We get Sap's Charge back into the lineup. 500 health left on him. A decent amount of poke coming through. Nintendo shows top lane, but has nothing to do. There just is not the gank follow-up with this duo lane.
Yeah, I mean, unless they're landing a binding, they're not going to get much going, but I feel like he's just trying to help them shove out the lane. There's a chance that this shove would prop a lane swap. That's one thing you would try and do before swapping back if you think this lane is going properly. You wouldn't see it in a normal LCS game, but just based on how Fusion has played recently, really heady harass here by Kiwi Kid to stop Nien from backing. Delaying these backs would stop a lane swap pretty well because they'd be forfeiting so much experience.
And Trance, losing a little bit of health and some time as he's going to take a really awkward recall. Sion does not have teleport, so Chunky Fresh will lose a wave. Trance getting zoned with the turret very intelligently by Kiwi Kid. And that is going to be, about 140 gold lost to the turret right here. 110, actually, probably got the right number here. But definitely a meaningful amount of money and XP just completely lost by Fusion. It is not a lane swap after all. It is Nien walking back to the lane. Just needed a recall.
Yeah. With all the attention we're playing to this duo lane, though, Fusion is actually winning the other lanes by more so.
That's true.
Nidalee has been farming much more than Izingi's Gragas, which is a decent chunk of that gold lead, and despite the gank, who he was up about 10 CS to Shifter until Shifter cleared the big wave in front of his turret. So the gold is equalizing back and forth a little bit here. Still an edge for Fusion.
Yeah, you're just seeing random sort of spikes of gold come in. Now it says plus 300 to 400 here on the scoreboard as, rounding ticks back and forth.
Yeah, it's a 400 gold lead for Nintendo over Izingi. That's where pretty much all of it's coming from.
Yeah, and that's, again, to me, the really big growth from Nintendo is he actually started getting farmed this year in the Challenger Series, and it was part of the reason Fusion held a lot of early gold leads. This Nidalee, even though we don't see her much anymore in the professional scene, but Nintendo's made this champion work very well for his team, and again, the entire comp is based around poking, so that might go well. Really nice ward by Kiwi Kid, managed to get towards the bottom side after he recalled for Sightstone. He can spot the buff recall, or sorry, the buff timing, I should say, when he tries to go for blue. A lot of really smart things for both these sides.
Just a power farm from Nintendo early. One thing Nidalee as a jungler has been able to apply is, a lot of early game pressure, and that's one of the reasons Gragas is a tank jungler that we see in the meta because he can also apply early game pressure. But there's always the option of just fast farming.
Yeah.
The reason Nidalee can apply the early game pressure is often because she fast farms so well, which then gives her freedom to reach ganks before other teams.
Right.
Or you can just farm really fast and continue to farm really fast that allows you to farm faster. And that's kind of what Nintendude is doing this game with a 20 CS advantage in the jungle at 8 minutes. Like, what is that? That's ridiculous.
It's a very massive lead, absolutely, here. CSD for the jungler. Pretty high. Chunky Fresh is sent to the top lane finally after the enemy duo lane is 6 and 4, but that top lane turret is nearly dead. Fusion gonna react to that one by pressuring the bottom lane and going for Dragon off of this one. Zingy's around
already. But yeah, Zingy's here. This would be a way to try and bring it back. He has to go in and get vision. And what happens so often is when you see that little ward thing done, you think that it's control. But with him dancing back and forth, he knows they're doing Dragon. This is getting dicey for Fusion.
Ooh, good bind forces Zingy to jump over the wall. He could always flash it, but he loses life for it. Top lane turret does go down. There's the execute. Whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa. It reset. Wow.
Slow clap right there for Fusion on the Dragon. Not clean.
No.
At all.
Did not count the number of leashes. And yeah, that was unfortunate. But hey, they got it.
Not the LPL finals. This is the NA promotion tournament at the time, and it's not a knock too heavily on these guys, but that was a poor play on both sides. Whether or not a Zingy and Shifter coordinate them going in for a steal with damage, they do that. It's an easy Dragon steal, maybe a kill. And as far as Fusion, they pulled back so far that the Dragon ended up resetting back to them instead of just committing to the Dragon before Dignitas could harass it. Mistakes on both sides, but it ends up with Fusion getting the Dragon.
Okay, so the overall lead, or overall trade, I should say, is top lane outer turret for a Dragon. And the weird thing is, Fusion are still up in gold despite being down a turret. They've outfarmed so hard. Chunky Fresh, far ahead of Gamsu, who went Brutalizer, by the way, against an armor stacking champion. That's awkward. And also just the Nintendude farm, even though he spent like literally a minute killing Dragon. A gold lead here. They're going to try to steal for blue buff as well. Zingy is around. Damage coming back and forth. Chunky Fresh forcing Zingy to flash away from his own blue buff, and Nintendude will steal that away.
Fresh burned his Scion ultimate there with blue buff harassing. Point blanked it right there, which is what forced the flash from Zingy. And yeah, they successfully steal the blue away. We'll see now if Nintendo can use that blue buff to continue to fast farm or apply some pressure. Regardless, he's full jungle upgrade. He just finished his Magus enchantment.
Yeah.
Whereas Zingy still sitting on that base Trailblazer.
With he's able to just buy Balmy Cinder when he recalls. He's like right at 900 gold right now, or 1,000. Like, yeah, whatever the amount for that one is. Buys a couple of wards as well. So that's going to be okay for him. So Zingy's like, you know, he's almost there. He's getting there a little bit, but yeah, definitely behind right now. The duo lane, of course, continually matched by Dignitas. They managed to knock the turret down, then swap back into the 2-on-2. Dignitas definitely playing their lanes correctly, but they're just getting behind in a couple of them.
Yeah. That's exactly what's happening. I wonder where Gamsu's going to find his effectiveness, because he's continually laying against the Scion, who is now starting to build up a pretty good chunk of armor. At the very least,
94.
At the very least, Dignitas, with the way these lanes have swapped, can assure they maintain their turret lead, which will keep the gold close despite the massive discrepancy in the jungle. It's now over 600 gold, the Nintendo X gold advantage over a Zingy, which almost makes up for the turret by itself.
It really does. It's 725, I think, for an outer turret, or 775. I forget. I know the number.
Depends if you get the local gold.
Yeah, assuming they did.
Yeah,
assuming they did. It's 125 global plus 150 to anyone who's nearby. And it looks like Nintendude is going to make a look for the bot lane here. Chunky Fresh really not taking any meaningful damage from Gamsu. It is enough to make him run away from this one. Zingy also looking to lane gank, but on top of a ward while doing so. Blue Trinket spots the Nintendude counter gank. Again, heady play by Dignitas. It's really just Nintendude that's putting Fusion ahead.
Heady play aside from standing on top of a ward, but they didn't know the ward was in there until they got scouted out right there. So smart scrying orb to know what they could and couldn't do, pushing up a wave. And even though the gank was foiled from a Zingy, at least it will dissuade Nintendude from staying down there. A Zingy really just has to start farming, or either, I want to say use his flash to gank a lane, but he had to burn that taking his own off. A Zingy is not having a good matchup for this time.
No, he's absolutely not being effective so far in this game. Otherwise, the lane's slowly eking away. The mid lane with a 10 minion advantage still. Nintendude farming. I believe he spotted Gamsu on the way down, who he puts a ward to keep himself feeling safe and life is good. Ping on the red buff there by Dignitas. He's like, yeah, okay, you know what, Shifty, you take it. You kill the ward. Great, all right, good job. He just puts a new ward down. Huhi warding very well for himself. Now both sides of his lane are warded. And I don't think any gank's going to work very easily for Dignitas now.
Yeah, Team Dignitas in a bit of a tricky spot because they killed the early turrets so quickly, but they're not finding a way for Gamsu to go and pressure more lanes. Basically, they're just allowing CoreJJ and Kiwi Kid to continually press down on that bottom lane, and because Nintendude is farming so much, he's not really able to show up to that lane and prevent the shove. The way Team Dignitas can get an advantage here is if CoreJJ and Kiwi Kid can actually get enough pressure to take a 2-turret to 0 lead, and then basically just use that strength of CoreJJ and Kiwi Kid to do a 3-for-0 turret trade. Outside of that, because of how heavily Nintendude is farming, and what a poor game Zingi's having in the jungle, it will be tough for them to win if they can't get this early turret lead.
Yeah, that gold lead is now 800 between the two junglers. It's just getting worse and worse over time. Looks like Nintendude is going for the Rod of Ages build, so some durability to add to the front line.
You can see already that Nintendude is sensing that point of weakness that his team would have, where CoreJJ and Kiwi Kid can't be dealt with, and he is actually spending a fair bit of time bottom lane, though. His timing is just off. He arrived right as Fusion was pushing out that lane, right as CoreJJ had shopped, and now they're just going to be on the offensive again. Actually, never mind. CoreJJ sitting on 2,000 gold.
Yeah.
He was just back in lane in anticipation of a gank.
And he managed to buy the early Avarice plate. Again, a good early laning phase, a good early turret kill. BF sort of Avarice plate, a really happy recall to have. He's just farming money off that item. The Avarice itself worth 235 bonus gold. It's only going to get higher from here. So he's like a wave away from Infinity Edge if he wants it. Or Pickaxe Xerxes right now if that was his choice instead. But
well, he's shopping right now, so it's probably what he's going for.
All right, just straight up IE, 2250 for the upgrade. Gets like a potion for it, and on he goes. So yeah, big power, 14.5-minute Infinity Edge without getting any kills, plus an extra item. I mean, that is just a dumb amount of money right here. He's got the highest CS in the game. Dignitas able to play around their AD carry quite nicely, but his recall timing is slightly off. Dragons respawned while he's back in base with an advantageous AD carry. Nien's already there with Triforce.
Big Triforce power spike, Frozen Heart on Sion as well. Not a bad fight for Fusion.
And they go for a Zingy, knocking about a half health, 800 on him. One more Q coming through, nearly going down. Nien, oh, not quite going to kill him with the rockets there, and it's going to give time for the AD carry of Dignitas to rejoin the fight. And Fusion took a lot of damage while doing this. Yeah,
Gamsu teleported down as well, leaving that top lane to fight itself. Fusion really needed to find a kill somewhere in that chaos because they had CoreJJ in a back timing. Now they're trying to catch something out of the back end.
Oh, it's going to be close. Can't quite catch CoreJJ. That wasn't having to spell shield that one either. So maybe a wave gets cleared, but Dignitas dual lane going to be fine. Really good spell shields all game. CoreJJ, great reflexes. He's blocked, I think, perfectly every spell shield.
Yeah, he has been crushing this lane. Aside with Kiwi Kid's cannon. Fusion continuing the pressure on this dragon. They're trying to draw Fusion in for something and hope to get a catch. Kiwi Kid!
Forcing the flash out, forcing the heal as well for Nien to try to save his support there. A counter engage, and oh no, the knockup comes through. It stops Valkyrie, and that's first blood for CoreJJ. Great follow-up by Dignitas.
Yeah, that's the mid-game impact that the Jarvan wanted to have. He burned his burst combo there. Kiwi Kid burned his ultimate. Now Dignitas tries to turn on the dragon. It does not like Fusion wants to give this up easily, though.
They're going to try, but they got to be careful about their health bars. And this one is Zingy happy to tank out. Flash, body slam, knocks in Chunky Fresh. It's a pretty tanky Sion, but Infinity Edge and Shifter pop into the ulti as well. Huhi taking a bunch of pain. That will be a dead Urgot. Chunky Fresh to buy a little bit of time, but he's got really nothing to do here. The Q knocks off his shield. Going to be disengaged. 2-0 Dig.
Of all the people to knock into the team, it's the Sion, but it still creates a fight for Team Dignitas that they can end up winning. Zingy getting that kill as well helps tremendously in his item pacing for this game. Team Dignitas finding the fight in that stage of the game, using the Sivir ultimate to disengage, the Gragas ultimate to re-engage, all very positive things, but the Dragon, the true objective is still up.
It is still up, a 1,000 gold lead for Dignitas. They've been able to mostly recall and head back across the map. Now Shifter, the guy around, oh my god, that crit nearly takes out Nintendude. CoreJJ refusing to let objectives go away.
30% critical strike when you count that Avarice Blade. If he would have got 2 in a row, he would have killed him.
That's true.
That would have been rather lucky.
9%.
Even so, it pushes him off and makes him a very, very scared kitty cat on Nidalee right there. Nintendude still not even reached his item timing for the Rod of Ages. And this Dragon, man, these teams really want that dragon. Looks like Team Dignitas should be able to get this one, though.
Chunky Fresh does have teleport, but all of Fusion very far away, and Infinity Edge Saber going to help that one quite nicely. Good smite. Attack boost, Dragon #1 here for Dignitas. So, 800 gold lead for the blue team. Dignitas looking to defend their LCS spot in this best of 5. So far, honestly, not too bad. Bot lane, though, left untouched. The entire team rotated mid while Sivir recalled, giving the end time to knock his turret down. Chunky Fresh also unanswered, so Dignitas's force on that dragon actually gives a lot of time for Fusion to push the other sides of the map.
Yeah, really strange how that all went down, because Fusion is the ones who initially started the dragon, but it was such a back and forth. Teams, they lost wave control entirely, and it ended up going to Fusion amongst the chaos, and now the turret lead may actually be in Fusion's side, but Azingi coming to Chunky Fresh. He's got to get the ultimate.
Ooh.
That's a Jarvan wall for you. Nice.
Goodbye, Chunky Fresh. Gets some damage down, pops the shield, but dies finally in the end. He can clear part of a wave. Nintendo, who he were roaming top lane, couldn't get there in time. Shifter, nice dodge the binding. Trance unable to predict the satchel away quite properly, but mid lane still under fire a little bit. That top lane turret nearly dead. Nintendo on the flank. But the wave clear's too good, and Core JJ getting a lot of free time now in the bot lane. Fusion looked to push mid lane, couldn't do it against Ziggs. And they're going to lose a turret for it, or nearly.
Yeah. Nice pressure by Core JJ, but he respects the Morg to come down here. I also want to point out the early Last Whisper by Gamsu. That kind of dictates that he is trying to stay engaged with the Silent. You wouldn't want the Last Whisper for the majority of the targets on the team, but at this point, Brutalizer Last Whisper at this point is a good item choice. And Trans with a face check.
Oh man, goodbye. That's going to be the first kill picked up. Nean Force run away. That's going to be a stun landing, but nothing else to do. Sivir spell shielded the Q, so Morgana didn't know there was anyone in the brush. He walked all the way through instead of warding on the very edge of it. Just little things, man. You expect, oh, I didn't get 5 gold. All right, no one's here. Just kidding.
Scout with a W. Next time.
Or just ward from your brush to the other one. You know, any one of those things.
Sneaky play there by Core JJ. And again, I mean, that's the big strength that we thought was coming from this Team Dignitas team, along with Gamsu, are the ones that are successful here. Gamsu building a full amount of armor penetration, able to get a kill with the help of Azingi, but mainly Core JJ and Kiwi Kid now, pretty much without aid, taking out 2 turrets.
Yep.
2 turrets 20 minutes into the game as a duo lane without help.
In straight up 2-on-2s, yeah. Against
Yen, who is kind of supposed to be the carry for this Fusion team. That may be one of the reasons they don't 2v2 lane very often. They don't have the confidence together. They've been forced to do so this game, and it is really hurting.
It absolutely is. The CS is staying close. Nian's always good at finding farm for himself, so like that scoreline won't look too bad, but you're right, Jat. 2 turrets taken down, 3 kills and assists combined for each of the AD carry, or sorry, each of the bottom lane members of Dignitas. QE Kid great engages, Core JJ great follow-up, now mid lane under fire, and there's no threat that bot lane gets pushed in for a while, so the siege can stay.
Yeah.
And the damage coming through from Ziggs. Ooh, looks like they want to control the right side jungle as well, so Dignitas can make the easy roam over if they need to. I don't know the blue buff timing anymore, but looks like Kiwi Kid really wants to control the vision around it. And they will take some time for Core JJ to grab this bottom lane. They can make that one shove up, once again re-siege to mid, and with the ward control on the right-hand side of the map, they can siege mid until bot slow pushes, just run over, take the turret.
Yeah, scaling-wise, I think these team compositions are very close in the mid game. I would give a slight edge to Team Dignitas in the late game, but it's close only because Jarvan and Gragas have some bit of a late game fall-off, but Ziggs and Sivir, when you compare them with Urgot Corki,
yeah, I really like Sivir.
It's close. Like, it's actually very close as far as scaling goes. So with this close game already, means we're in for a bit of a battle unless Dignitas can snowball this turret advantage somehow.
They're going to look to snowball the mid lane right there. Kiwi Kid flashing on in. A bit of damage in a Huhi, but a bit too tanky of a target overall. Does give them time to knock down the mid lane outer turret, and this should be the 3rd turret kill of the game for Dignitas if they stay for it. One more auto. There it goes. 3 turrets to 2 overall. The scoreline here, mid lane nearly untouched. So, turret advantage.
3 turrets to 2. They did lose that one in the top lane. Gamsu was unable to go up and save it. Not a massive turret lead. It would be advantageous for Team Dignitas now if they can take more control of the Fusion jungle. But, of course, they need to get their recall timings back, buy their items, and then take sets. So still a competitive game here.
Definitely still is. As always, Intended leading the charge in terms of gold lead. He's down a kill, an assist, and a turret, and he's up 500. Just, it feels like I'm setting a broken record here, but there's just so much farm on Nidalee that Intended is an extra damage threat here. Who he's farming just fine, so is Nintendo, and so is Niantanzo. So
here's the crazy thing, though.
Yeah.
CoreJJ has 1,600 more gold than Nian,
God.
which helps. But CoreJJ's in bottom lane when KiwiKid gets swapped.
And swap on in right in front of the Nintendo X, and it's going to be a bit of damage going back and forth, but the great bind! Trance making that kill happen. Huhi gets his first kill of the game, and maybe mid lane can fall.
Nice ban by Trance. Bad ultimate by Zingy. He completely whiffed his disengage ult on Kragus, allowing the Fusion assault to continue. And this is that mid-game they want. They have a level 11 Yen. They have a Manamune Urgot with maxed shield and Acid Hunter. Very soon to have Muramana.
Next spell, pretty much. Okay, 2 more spells, sorry. And yeah, there it is. All right. 23, 29. Actually, yeah, about normal for the combined, right? You want to look at like low 20s usually.
Yep.
But that's the power spike for Fusion. We'll see if they can do anything more with that. Luden's Echo has been done for Shifter for a while, so his actual poke is quite scary. He crushes waves even faster than normal, plenty of ability power, extra move speed as well, so he's hard to catch. Shifter can do a lot of work for the Dignitas team, but Fusion have grouped everyone. Gamsu is pushing top lane. There's no teleport, so this turret will take a lot of damage as payment for this siege here in the mid lane.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to fight over the dragon here or just try and push them off the mid lane. Gamsu is pushing, but they landed a lot of poke.
Whole lot of damage comes through. KiwiKid tries to engage the move speed, not quite enough to stun Huhi, but there's going to be a Zingy body slam flash, and the Jarvan ulti locks up to Trance. Is going to fall as well. Chunky Fresh now on the retreat. KiwiKid can't quite catch more, but it's a 3-for-0 overall.
What a massive fight right there by Team Dignitas, using the Sivir ult. I thought Sivir would be a contested pick in this series. Maybe it'll end up being so later. They ult in, they get the initial catch. Gamsu comes down from the top lane to crush them, and now Team Dignitas goes for an early Baron. There is Smite up on the other side. Come on, guys. You can do it.
Nintendo is equal level, plus he's Nidalee. It's going to be very intense. 1,400 health goes in, 2,000 HP picked up by a Zingy. Early smite by Nintendo. Chunky Fresh can't pick up a kill either. A 2-for-0 plus Baron. That's going to be great for Dignitas. Giant lead.
You live and die by the Baron. That's one way to do it. Team Dignitas won the team fight and then went for the home run here. Let's take another look at the team fight. They had landed such substantial poke from the Ziggs that it was easy for them to run them down. And the flank from the back teleported in, actually, just to jump over the wall and dunk Nian. Nian has been getting crushed this game and may continue to be crushed with that full AD Jarvan, Ravenous Hydra, unless Fusion can find the initiation onto Gamsu. There's nothing protecting Nian. Black Shield will not help you against Jarvan's physical damage.
And what's interesting as well is just like front lines, I feel like sometimes can be hard to use against AoE teams who are happy to just kind of run at you and be like, yeah, we're going to hit everybody. Like, whatever, tanks are here kind of regardless of where they are or not. You kind of hit the back line a little bit in the end. Oh, wow, that's a crit. It would kill him, but it didn't quite do it. Ziggsult, not quite going to kill him either. Shifter not going to get the killing blow, but it will be a bot lane tier 2 turret going down. 4 turrets to 2 now. Dignitas up by every pretty much meaningful metric here in this game.
The CoreJJ KiwiKid lane has been dominating this matchup. That is the biggest reason the Team Dignitas is ahead in this game. The dragon kerfuffles that they've had don't matter to the difference of CoreJJ versus Nian. Basically created in the 2v2 where they're able to get these things. Yes, Zingy came in, he found a few ultimates in team fights. Gamsu has been able to pick up kills on the back end. Shifter has kept the wave clear up. But specifically, it's been CoreJJ and KiwiKid.
Yeah, they have done so much heavy lifting for the Dignitas lineup, and now Righteous Glory done for KiwiKid as well, so he can run even faster. He's got Distortion cooldown boots. He's basically Annie in this game, just the stun takes a bit longer to happen. But yeah, I've got to say, it looks very good for Dignitas. The Annie gets banned, he finds a different caster to play in the support role. No big problem here. Team Fusion down 8K, needs some way back into this one. You said the scaling, you know, fairly close, maybe a slight edge to dig, so waiting for late game, not even a really viable strategy.
Yep.
Even the wave clear's not that great. It's like Corki and like kind of Sion shouting at things, so a defensive pattern also pretty hard for Fusion here. Dignitas looking very good in game 1 of this best of 5.
CoreJJ has completed his 3rd major item before Nian's finished his 2nd.
Ouch.
Gamsu is at a point on Jarvan where he can one-shot a squishy target in Nian. Additionally, with 4 outer turrets down, but 3 outers for Fusion, if they want to farm, they have to put themselves in harm's way. And Team Dignitas has a Sivir ultimate and a Righteous Glory on Kennen. So if they ever see Fusion in an empty lane when they're not on near a turret, Team Dignitas will rush them and win the fight with their large goal lead. At this point, Fusion needs Team Dignitas to make an over-dive mistake. Because if Team Dignitas just plays this one out smart, pokes the turrets with Ziggs, pushes the waves with their stronger solos, or even catches someone like that, they got this one.
Black Shield used, but intended already pretty low. Chunky Fresh goes to engage a fight. I'm not sure if they want it. There is no Gamsu, though. It is a 5v4. Ziggs comes in a lot of damage. Nian out of the fight without even doing anything.
Yeah, and I think they're going to burn Sion's Flash as well, which makes this next turret siege may end up being a 5th turret for Team Dignitas. Fusion is a lot of low players right now.
I can't see there being a good defense here for Team Dignitas, while Gamsu is still pushing in the bottom lane, so they could always rotate down to bot inhibitor turret if they choose to do so. Turret number 5 goes down, mid lane wave cleared up, and do Dignitas choose an inhibitor turret to fight? They will go for the mid lane here. Corki rejoins, Sion close as well. Swap in for Huhi onto CoreJJ, but a flash keeps Sivir safe as Zingy buys some more time for the team. And Fusion will not find any kills in this engage. Meanwhile, Gamsu at a killing spree takes down Nintendo X, chased out by Niantanzo, flashes away. CoreJJ here to almost kill off Trance, but no wards, let them auto-attack. More kills inside the base, though. Dignitas getting farther and farther ahead.
The Ghostblade Jarvan with Boots 1 just deletes Nintendo on the backside of that fight. That was... Gamsu's got to be having a lot of fun right now.
Yeah. Hey, man. He's got the highest kill participation on the team as Assassin Jarvan, so I can't say it's not working here.
Yeah, let's take a look at this. There's the dive on one side, but I'm more worried. He doesn't even get the Q damage.
Oh, he crit that.
Yeah, well...
With Ghostblade, 50%. He crit the first auto attack. It just destroyed.
Well, plus he gets the martial cadence from his passive,
yeah,
which is a 10%. The thing is, Gamsu didn't even land his EQ combo for the damage.
No.
He's still
I think his body got the knockup. It just smacked him twice. Hydra damage gonna be like 250-ish or so as well. So, you know, no big deal. Assassin Jarvan looking good. 8 of 10 for his team. High percentage. Blue buff gonna go over. CoreJJ already mid lane to hold for the wave clear. So Dignitas also doing a good job of assigning people to the right lanes, making sure nothing goes down. Fusion really have just been unable to find much to do all game.
They did get their lane swaps, right?
Yeah.
And Fusion has brought in new coach, an analyst, Kurishachi G and Bubadub. But, I mean, their biggest hole was their late game shot calling.
Yep. And
when you're losing the early game, and you're already weak in late game shot calling, you don't have much going for you. This is a really difficult time for Fusion.
Yeah.
I think they found a friend though. Let's see if Gamsu can take one with him.
He does not have flash. He can ult and EQ out, and he's got friends, so he's good.
Found his friends.
Good Black Shield, no kills.
What a slick little move there by Gamsu. I thought he was just going to try and kill someone.
Yeah, I was too. It's like, all right, he's going to take one with him.
Yeah.
Here we go. No flash. It's going to be do or die. You know, it's going to be...
As soon as he would have gone in to try and do that, Urgot would have ulted him.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't have had any time to get his burst off. So he found where the Urgot was, ran directly away from that, managed to not get hit by Dark Binding. Flew all over the place.
Oh, good job. Flying high the Demacian standard. So far, Jarvan the 4 can feel pretty good about this game. Blue buff. Javelin blocked by Gamsu. Blue buff stolen. Happy for him. Merc Tread's picked up, so the, I guess, Bind and Scion stuns will be diminished somewhat. Turret number 2, Dragon number 2 goes over to Dignitas, makes them kill turrets faster. Fusion have set up around Baron that has spawned now. Fusion looking for a Death Brush. This is their attempt to close the game or get their way back in, and Dignitas, we're just going to go mid, dude. I don't care if you go Baron.
Fusion should not be fighting this.
Well, they're going to do anyway. Kiwi Kid right in the back line, going to stun a whole bunch of people, and nearly everyone is dead. Big Ziggs 1 for 1. Actually, not the worst fight we've seen yet from Fusion, but now it's getting a whole lot worse. A triple kill for CoreJJ. Will he get any more?
Fusion,
nice flash.
Pretty good at running away after this.
This is a squishy Gamsu, so Nian puts some threat down. No, looks like nothing else to get picked up here. Nintendo.
Fusion very close to getting 5 kills there for Core JJ, but because they had the initiation, they end up trading what looks like a 3 for 2. 4 for 2.
4 for Core JJ.
And 5 for 2. I don't think Nintendo's getting away here, since they did scout him out.
Delayed pentakill.
Oh, no!
Core JJ, steal it! Delayed pentakill. Core JJ, the last two unassisted, kind of. Nicely done. 8-0 and 5. Dignitas looking really good now in game 1. 33 minutes in. Massive lead. 8-0 AD carry.
Yeah. If Fusion doesn't initially get the pick here, back away. The only way they win this game is if they get a pick onto a squishy. Instead, Chunky Fresh ults a Gragas at this point. Kiwi Kid lands an okay ultimate and everyone jumps on him. It's a little bit of a strangely spaced fight, which is why 2 members of Team Dignitas fell. But the actual damage dealers, the things that Fusion would have to kill in order to win a fight, were completely untouched. Ziggs and Sivir completely safe in that fight. Poor fight from Fusion. Hole in the late game shot calling. They're already behind. They cannot walk up and have a straight on 5v5 in any world that works. Team Dignitas gets 5 kills on the Core JJ because of that.
That's going to be a pretty good place for Dignitas to be in right here. Baron back on the field if they want to use that to push the base on in. Strangely, Dignitas' siege is very, very strong with Ziggs and Kennen for some poke, but looks like sitting in front of an inhibitor turret is not what Dignitas wants to do. Instead, they are controlling Baron vision for now. They're actually letting Fusion knock down mid lane first. So the mid siege not going to happen for a while. Jarvan splitting top for a bit, but this turret might go down. They don't stay. Here's the engage. Here's the teleport. Kiwi Kid once again goes for the ulti. They're going to knock down Trance right away. A kill for Core JJ. Zigzil comes in a second. 7 kills in a row.
He is a 4 offensive item Sivir. 34 minutes into the game, and the only player on Fusion who has built an armor item is Sion. So if he's hitting anybody else, he is destroying them in a couple of hits.
And even Baron Nashor, short work for the Fed Sivir. 1,000 health. Down it goes. Bottom lane tier 2 goes down, so Fusion getting some split push pressure down a little bit, but not enough to make an impact on this game. Gamsey ready to knock down an inhibitor turret. I guess the same for Fusion's kind of makeshift dual lane down here. That will be a pretty good turret kill. But guess what? The rest of your base is dying here. 2-man defense, 3-man siege. Inhibitor goes down.
Yeah, Fusion's hoping that they can win a 2v2 down here against Ziggs Gragas, in which case they'd be able to force something. But if they lose this 2v2 as well, they're going to be in trouble. They get 1.
They get 1, and Shifter's in a 1v2 now. The inhibitor will fall. The rest of the base survives. This is like one of the best split pushes ever. Fusion make a great call in the late game to get an inhibitor kill against Baron buff and even get a kill out of it.
Wow.
That was impressive.
No, that was a really good call there by Fusion, and a very poor response by Team Dignitas. They did not need to have that as a 2v2 coming down there, trying to make up for that. It's become a scattered game here. Let's see if Core JJ
Spell shield's down, Exhaust is on, but there's no ulti for Trance. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Urgot and Corki are still fighting. This time they brought someone who deals a little bit more damage.
Goodbye.
There we go.
And goodbye into the backlines as well. Chunky Fresh, the only man standing. Kiwi Kid doesn't do that much damage in support.
He's like, buddy, you left me, Core JJ. Core JJ says, we have super minions, dude, let's win. There's 30-second death timers on everyone from Fusion, so while they did net an inhibitor out of their trade, eventually they get ran down because Dignitas has such a huge lead. That'll do it.
Looks like that's going to do it. 12-0 and 5, the final score for Core JJ. He won him the early game by knocking turrets down. He went on the team fights with like 8 kills in a row, and that's going to be GG. 36 minutes. Dignitas win game 1 on the road back into the North American LCS.
Yeah, average length game, but a very decisive win there by Team Dignitas. I would say the main